I haven't done one of these videos in a while, a club history video, and today's club history video is a history of Eintracht Frankfurt. In my opinion, a very underrated club in the Bundesliga. They've spent the majority of their existence in the Bundesliga with a few seasons in the second tier. Now, they're founded on the 8th of March 1899. They currently play at the Deutsche Bank Park, which has a capacity of 51,500. Now, to look at their major trophies, because they've only actually ever won 8 major trophies outside of regional competitions in Germany and in Europe, you have to go back before the Bundesliga was actually technically called the Bundesliga. It was called the German Championship at the time, which they won in 1959. But their most successful competition that they compete in is the DFB-Pokal, also known as the German Cup, which they won in back-to-back seasons in the mid-70s. In 73-74 and in 74-75, those seasons they were back-to-back winners, basically. So that's something very hard to do. They also won again in the 1980-81 season and in the 87-88 season, but it was a 30-year wait until the 2017-2018 season when they defeated Bayern Munich 3-1 in the final to end a 30-year silverware drought. Also, what is interesting is they've had success in European club football as well. They won the old UEFA Cup, otherwise known as the Europa League by today's standards, in the 79-80 season. And do you remember the Intertoto Cup? Because I actually am old enough to remember the Intertoto Cup. They won that in 1967. That is a list of their 8 major trophies. Their most successful spell is between 73 and 81. In that period, they won 4 major trophies. They were overshadowed in German football at the time by 2 other clubs, Bayern Munich and another club I've done a history video on, Borussia Mönchengladbach, who won a lot of trophies both domestically and in European football at the time. They were the 2 really successful German clubs at the time from the 70s to the 80s. So Frankfurt are having a very successful spell, but are going under the radar because of other clubs winning more. But a 30-year drought for silverware. Yeah, thankfully that has been ended now. But it's been 3 seasons since they won that silverware. But they've won a European trophy as well, 2 European trophies, and not many clubs can say that when you're talking about mid-table teams, because Frankfurt traditionally are a mid-table Bundesliga side. Now we're going to get onto some of the records. I'm looking at record home and away wins. I'm not looking at record losses because record home and away losses are both 7-0, which is really weird. But their record home wins and away wins, their record wins are very interesting because it's against the same club. In the 74-75 season, they won 9-1 at home against Rot-Weiss Essen. I've never heard of Rot-Weiss Essen. I might do a video on them. And a few seasons later, in the 76-77 season, they won away 8-1 at Rot-Weiss Essen as well. So Rot-Weiss Essen were not a very defensively minded club in the 70s. Now we get on to player records. The most appearances for the club is by a legend of the club, so if you are an Eintracht Frankfurt fan, Charlie Korbel, with 720 appearances in 19 years, between 1972 and 1991. The most goals all time for the club were scored by Karl Ehmer at 225 goals pre-war, pre-World War II, between 1927 and 1938. How long does that record stand? That will be very, very interesting because that has stood for a very, very long time. The Bundesliga goal scoring record is held by Bernd Holzenbein at 160 goals, scored between 1967 and 1981. Again, how long does that record last for the club? And their single season scoring record was actually done last season by the Portuguese striker Andre Silva with 28 goals. So they've got some interesting records there. Their record home and away wins are against the same club, and their most successful period is when they're actually getting these record-breaking wins. The most successful period is between 1973 and 1981, where they won 4 major trophies in a very short space of time. They've been obviously less successful since then, with only 1 major trophy in the last 33 years, but they finished 5th in the Bundesliga last season, and Bayern Munich have actually been now knocked out of the German Cup by Borussia Mönchengladbach, so there is hope that silverware could end up, obviously, with a new name on the trophy. Can Eintracht Frankfurt win the German Cup for a 6th time this season? Time will tell. But anyway, that was a brief history of Eintracht Frankfurt. I didn't go into every single record in every single competition. I decided not to look at the runners-up medals they've had, because they got a lot of runners-up medals as well in a lot of competitions. But they had a very dominant spell in the German Cup. With back-to-back trophies in the mid-70s. They were a very, very good side between the mid-70s and the early 80s. It's a shame that in more recent times they have fallen out of the Bundesliga more than once, and they're now more of a mid-table side. One trophy in 33 years will tell you that. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts below. I'd like to hear from Eintracht Frankfurt fans. And what other clubs would you like me to do history videos on, and in what sports? Please place in the comment sections below. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.